Your life is largely based on luck. Really? Yes, and I'll explain starting right now.
This is Debt Free in 30. Here's your host, Doug Hoyes.
Remember that time when you were in school and you got a really good mark on that test? Better than expected? And when your friends asked you how you got such a good mark, you recounted the story in vivid detail of how you stayed up late with just your small desk lamp to illuminate the pages of the textbook in the middle of the night as you studied, burning the proverbial candle at both ends. You worked hard and got a good mark. Remember that time when you were in school and you didn't get a good mark on a test? Worse than expected? And as you sat around with your friends in the school cafeteria, you explained how unfair it was. You told your friends that the material upon which we were examined was clearly not part of the pre-announced syllabus. Well, maybe you didn't say it like that, but you certainly told your friends that question number 4 wasn't in the textbook and the teacher never talked about it and the test was too long and it wasn't fair. Yeah, I got a bad mark, but it wasn't my fault. It was outside of my control. It was bad luck. And that's how we human beings see the world. If something good happens, like a good mark on a test, it was the result of our own hard work and skill and effort. If something bad happens, it had nothing to do with me. It was bad luck. We humans want to understand the world. We want to know the reason something happens, so we create a story to explain it. And, of course, it's the victors who write the history books, and it's the winners who tell the story. Have you ever heard of beginner's luck? That guy who went to the casino and won a bunch of money, and now he's a professional gambler? Yeah, because he was lucky and won. He's the one telling the story. You never hear about the guy who lost money at the casino and never went back. People who lose don't tell stories. Go to the bookstore and you'll see lots of books written by guys who started a business and made lots of money, and now they're telling you how to do it. You know what you never see? A book written by a guy who started a business and it didn't work out and he shut it down and he lost money. He had bad luck, and people who have bad luck don't write books. That's why we have a biased view of the role of luck. We hear the success stories and the winners tell the stories of their hard work and skill, but we don't hear the stories when it doesn't work, so we don't realize that bad luck happens too. We create our own reality, as you know, as I already explained back on podcast number 300, so you should go back and listen to it again. I create the story of how I stayed up late at night and studied, and that's why I did well on the test. I create the story of how the test was unfair, and that's why I didn't do well. Which story is accurate? Which version of reality is true? Was it really luck, or was it your own actions that caused the result? The message of today's podcast is that most of what happens to us is the result of luck, not our own actions. What, you say? I know that's the exact opposite of what every financial guru out there will tell you. Every financial expert who ever wrote a book will say, well, if you read my book and follow my rules, you'll be a success. You have the power to be a success. It's all up to you. The implication, of course, is that if you are not successful, it's all your fault. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't apply yourself. There's no such thing as bad luck. You make your own luck. Well, as the old saying goes, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Well, let me offer an alternate viewpoint. Success, or failure, is mostly luck. If you're successful, you've had a lot of good luck. If you've had a hard time of it, if the world views you as a failure, if you think of yourself as a failure, you've had a lot of bad luck. What do you think of that? You disagree, don't you? Well, guess what? That's how we humans view the world. If something good happens, we take the credit. I worked hard, I deserved it. But if we don't get the results we want, it's not my fault. I blame someone else, or I chalk it up to bad luck. Now, of course, we all agree that at the big picture level, you and I only exist because of luck. Every single one of your ancestors lived long enough to have a kid. None of them died when they were young, or got really sick, or got eaten by a bear. They lived long enough and were healthy enough to be your ancestor. You come from an unbroken, undefeated line of people who had really good luck. If your great-great-great-grandfather fell off a horse and died at the age of 10, you would not exist. Lucky for you, everyone before you was lucky. You come from an unbroken line of success. You are undefeated. You are a very lucky winner, through no effort of your own, but still a winner. Well, okay, you say that's true, but my success isn't due to luck. I worked hard to get where I am today. Okay, let me tell you a story. The story of Doug Hoyes. I worked hard in school, got decent marks, got accepted to the University of Toronto, graduated, got lots of job offers, worked hard, studied hard to become a chartered accountant and a chartered business evaluator and a licensed insolvency trustee, and I took a big risk and worked hard and started Hoyes Michaelis & Associates, and, well, now we're the largest independent firm focusing entirely on personal insolvency here in Ontario, and we're one of the biggest in Canada, and we've been in business for over 20 years, so obviously that's all skill and hard work, not luck. You can probably tell a similar story. Your hard work led to your success. Okay, let me tell you the same story with a few more details. I was born in 1964, right at the very end of the baby boom. All of those baby boomers born in the 20 years before I was born paved the way for me. Because of them, lots of schools were built, including the Scarborough campus of the University of Toronto, which is where I attended classes. If that campus hadn't been built and hadn't opened up thousands of extra spaces for students, would I have gotten into the downtown campus with higher admission standards and many fewer spots? I don't know, but lucky for me, I was born when I was. My timing was perfect. I graduated in 1987. The economy was booming. There were lots of jobs for brand new accountants. I could have worked for any of the big firms. Finding a job was not a problem. I got a job. There was lots of work. I gained lots of experience and was able to get my CA designation and move out of audit into financial advisory services, where I became a licensed insolvency trustee. But if I had graduated 2 years earlier or 2 years later, I would have graduated in the middle of a recession and I may not have found a job. Instead of training as an accountant in a big firm, I might have had to take a job doing something completely different, perhaps something I wasn't as good at. And perhaps I wouldn't have moved up through the ranks. My timing was lucky. And this isn't just my experience. Lisa Kahn, an economist at the Yale School of Management, wrote a paper published in 2010 titled The Long-Term Labor Market Consequences of Graduating from College in a Bad Economy, where she studied men who graduated from college between 1979 and 1989, just like me, and she found that for each percentage point increase of unemployment in the economy, the graduate will earn 6 to 7% less, and they may never catch up those lost earnings. Even 15 years later, their income will still be lower than someone who graduated during a period of lower unemployment. Timing matters. Luck has a big impact on your earning potential even 15 years into the future. I met Ted Michaelis in 1997, working at the big accounting firm, and we started Hoyes Michaelis in 1999, and that was the perfect year to start a personal insolvency firm because we had time to perfect our approach before the dot-com bubble burst in the year 2000, and we got really busy. If we had started the firm 2 years earlier or 2 years later, the results would have been completely different. In his book, Outliers, the Story of Success, Malcolm Gladwell, who incidentally was born 303 days before me and who moved at the age of 6 to Elmira, Ontario, about 20 minutes north of where I'm sitting in my Kitchener studio today, but I digress. He tells many stories of luck. Bill Gates, who started Microsoft, was born in 1955. Steve Jobs of Apple fame was born in 1955. Eric Schmidt, who ran software firm Novell and then became the CEO of Google, was born in, you guessed it, 1955. Now, of course, there were a lot of people born in 1955 who weren't leaders in the computer industry, but obviously being born in 1955 didn't hurt. 1955 was perfect timing for Bill Gates to be born because by the time he was in high school, mainframe computers existed, and he was able to get access to one and learn how to program, so he had the background needed to start Microsoft, and his timing was perfect because home computers were becoming possible, and his software made it all work. If Bill Gates had been born in 1950 or 1960, he may not have become Bill Gates of Microsoft. The timing of his birth was lucky. If Steve Jobs had been born in 1930, would we have the iPad and iPhone today? No. The technology needed as the foundation for Steve Jobs to create Apple didn't exist any earlier than when he appeared on the scene. Luck helps. Now, of course, all of those guys worked hard, but they were also lucky. In Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell tells of the discovery of Paula Barnsley, the wife of Canadian psychologist Roger Barnsley, who realized that the hockey players on the minor league team they were watching that night were primarily born early in the year. Roger Barnsley did more research and found that 40% of elite Canadian hockey players were born in January, February, or March, and a further 30% were born between April and June, but only 10% were born between October and December. How is that possible? Shouldn't elite hockey players be born throughout the year, just like elite accountants and pretty much every other human? Well, Malcolm Gladwell gives a simple explanation. At the time, the eligibility cutoff for age class hockey was January 1st, the start of the year, so a boy who turns 10 on January 2nd could be playing hockey with another kid who doesn't turn 10 until the end of the year, which, when you're a kid, is a very big age gap. It's quite likely that the older kid will be much better than the younger kid, so the older kid gets selected for the rep team and the all-star team and the traveling team, so they play more and get better coaching, and they get better. Your chances of hockey success are better if you are born early in the year. To be successful at hockey or computer programming or starting a personal insolvency firm, you need to be lucky. And again, I'm not saying that hard work isn't important. If Bill Gates didn't sneak out of his house late at night to go to the school where the computer was and program all night, he never would have learned the skills to be Bill Gates of Microsoft. Every hockey player who succeeds in the NHL, regardless of when they were born, had to work very hard to get there. All I'm saying is that without that initial stroke of luck, all of the hard work in the world wouldn't have led to that ultimate level of success. So, why is this important? Why is a podcast about debt talking about luck? Because if you want to be successful, or if you want to avoid failure, you have to realize that luck is often the most important element of your success or failure. Let me illustrate. You're at the driving range, hitting golf balls. You hit a ball, and it doesn't go straight. Is the ball's errant trajectory your fault, or just the result of bad luck? It could be either. It could be that, unbeknownst to you, just as you were about to hit the ball, a little gust of wind appeared and blew the ball off course. Or maybe there was a blade of grass that got in the way. Or maybe there was a speck of dirt on the ball that made it go crooked. It's quite possible that the ball didn't go straight simply because of bad luck. Or maybe your stance was too narrow and you were standing too far away from the ball and your grip was too tight and you totally mishit the ball. In that case, the errant shot was entirely your fault. The cause of your crooked shot is important. If it was caused by an unexpected gust of wind, you don't need to do anything different. Hit the ball again, the same way. Grip it and rip it. But if the ball flew wildly because your stance was wrong, you need to correct your stance. You can't fix bad luck, but you can fix a bad approach, and that's why you need to know what caused the result. I see this all the time in my work. Someone comes in to see me and they have too much debt and they have no hope of ever paying it back, so they're considering bankruptcy. Okay, we can talk about that, but I'm also interested in understanding what caused the debt. Was it bad luck or something else? One of the reasons that I limit my time on social media is because it can become a bit of a cesspool of uninformed opinions. The prevailing wisdom today appears to be that the reason you have so much debt is because you lived lavishly and spent too much money. Okay, that does happen if you go on an expensive vacation every year and put it on your credit card and only make the minimum payment, you will have a lot of debt and, well, in that case, it's clearly your fault. But that's not the typical person I see. Bad luck is much more common in my business. I hear the story all the time. Things were going okay, and then I lost my job, or got sick, or was in an accident, or got divorced, and I had to use debt to survive, and here I am. That's bad luck, and that is the cause of many financial problems. Think about it. If you get diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, how will that impact your finances? Hopefully you qualify for sick benefits at work, but they probably only cover part of your salary, but you still have to pay the rent and all of your other living costs. And even though medical care is free here in Canada, prescriptions aren't. And being off work for a year and a half while you wait for surgery and then have treatment and then recover will drain your finances. I have never met anyone who went through a serious medical issue that came out wealthier at the end of it. That's just not how it happens. Is it your fault that you got that rare form of cancer? Nope. It was bad luck. Is it your fault that your company lost a big contract and had to lay you off? Nope. That's bad luck. Is it your fault that the restaurant you worked at was doing great, having its best year ever, and then the coronavirus hit and the entire country went into lockdown and you were out of work for many months? Nope. That's bad luck, and bad luck is very common, and we should recognize it when it happens. It's important for me to recognize the existence of bad luck in my line of work because most of the people I meet with are down when they first meet with me. Their shoulders sag. They speak softly. They're embarrassed. They're not happy because they know they have a serious problem and they blame themselves. If only I had saved more money, they say. If only I hadn't taken that particular job. If only. I say, hey, wait a minute. You didn't cause the pandemic or your medical problem. It was bad luck. There's no point in worrying about that which you cannot control, and there's nothing you can do to fix bad luck. So we focus on what you can control. That's a much more productive use of your time and energy. So, how do you know if what happened was due to your actions or if it was bad luck? If you bought a stock and it went up, was it due to your insightful analysis or was it luck? Well, there's two words to answer that question: predictability and replicability. First, were you able to predict what happened? I predict that this stock will go up, and here's why. I've analyzed the company and their financial statements, and these ratios look good, and they're in a good industry, so fundamentally it looks good. Also, I looked at the chart, and the relative strength index looks good, and it just crossed over its 50-day moving average, so it's a good buy. Being able to analyze something and predict what will happen, and then have your prediction come true, is a good indication that your efforts are causing the expected result. That's an indication of skill more than luck. But, of course, there is more to it than that. I bought a stock and it went up, and I have all of these reasons why I think it went up, but are those reasons nonsense? I have a prediction. This stock will go up because if the temperature at night is above 10 degrees, and if my favorite sports team is on a 5-game or more winning streak, that gold mining company will go up in value. So I buy the stock, and just as I predicted, it went up. I am so smart. SMRT, to quote legendary philosopher Homer Simpson. No, you aren't smart, you are lucky because there is no chance that the temperature at night and the performance of your local sports team has any impact whatsoever on that gold mining company located on the other side of the world. That was luck. That's why the second requirement is replicability. Can you do it again and again? If you use your stock picking system and over a long period of time, many years, you achieve results far better than the performance of the overall market, then it's more likely that skill is involved, not just luck. But that's a tricky one. From the stock market crash in 2008 to the big coronavirus correction in March of 2020, the stock market went up pretty much continuously, with only some minor corrections along the way. So, If you randomly picked a bunch of stocks in the middle of 2009 and bought them and sold them in February of 2020, you most likely made a lot of money. Was that skill? No, in a bull market, most stocks go up. That's what a bull market is. If you bought that same random basket of stocks at the beginning of February 2020 and sold them on March 23rd, 2020, you lost a lot of money. Skill or luck? A rising tide lifts all boats. In a bull market, everyone makes money. It's just like the real estate market. If you buy as prices are going up, your house goes up in value. It doesn't matter if you paid a good price or bought in a good section of town. In a real estate boom, everything goes up. So just because you bought a stock or a house and it went up, it doesn't mean you're a genius. It may just mean you bought at the right time. I'm recording this at the end of July 2020, and I've heard lots of stories of people who borrowed money to buy condos to rent out on Airbnb. They were doing great until a virus hit, and then their booking stopped, and now they're faced with, making their mortgage payments and paying condo fees and property taxes with no revenue coming in. They were brilliant business people until they weren't. So the test is, can you replicate it over and over? If you have a long history of making money in the stock market or the real estate market in good times and bad, you probably have some skill. If you hit a golf ball once and it goes straight, that could be luck. If you can do it over and over again, that's skill. So again, why did I devote an entire episode of a podcast about debt to a discussion of luck? Because we don't realize that a lot of what happens is a result of luck, good and bad. As Malcolm Gladwell says in Outliers, and I quote, "We are too much in awe of those who succeed and far too dismissive of those who fail," end quote. We don't acknowledge the importance of luck. We think our actions cause the result, good or bad, and that then leads us to either take undue credit for something that happened or to do the opposite and say it was bad luck when something bad happens, when in fact it was our own actions that led to our misfortune. I picked a stock and it went up. I'm a brilliant investor. I'm going to take out a big loan at the bank and buy stocks on margin because I can't lose. Yeah, that's a great strategy if you really are brilliant, but not a great strategy if your stock went up due to luck, because luck may not go your way next time and you may get wiped out. Even more important, the effect of luck is cumulative. It's like compound interest. It builds over time. Picture this. You're stopped in your car at a red light and you get rear-ended. Your car is wrecked and you've got whiplash and it takes you a long time to recover. And because of your injury, you can't go back to your old job, so your income drops and you use debt to survive. You had one split second of bad luck and your life changes forever. I started my career during an economic boom and I've done well. If you started your working life during a recession, your income can be impacted for decades. A split second of bad luck has a long-term domino impact. That's why when someone arrives at my office, I don't judge them. I start with the assumption that they had bad luck, and I see what I can do to help them. That's my advice today. If you encounter someone, a friend, a family member, a coworker, who appears to be having a hard time, don't jump to the conclusion that it's their fault. Perhaps they've had some bad luck, and perhaps you can help them out and help them generate some good luck. If you encounter someone who is doing really well, don't be jealous, be happy for them. Perhaps they've had a run of good luck. Perhaps it may not last forever. My point is that good luck and bad luck happens all the time, so be aware of it, learn to recognize it, don't take credit for good luck, don't beat yourself up when bad luck happens, and focus your time and energy on that which you can control. Good luck. Oh, and if you want to increase your chances of having good luck, please like this video and subscribe on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a comment on your favorite podcasting app. Can't hurt. That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. Until next week, I'm Doug Hoyes. That was Debt Free in 30.